Hello! Welcome to another episode of Foe. Glad you're back. Or welcome if it's your first time. This is a stream of consciousness video and the second one in the series. I'm hoping to keep doing this more and more each week. Or not more and more each week, but hopefully continuously. I want to talk about something that I want to address before we start. Is that I just finished eating right now. And I apologize if I sound a little gassy. I'm trying my best not to burp anymore. You know, if you've checked out one of my old videos, like the first thing I do is burp into the microphone. And I understand some people don't like that. And so now I'm trying my best not to do that. So if I do get a little gassy, I apologize ahead of time. But I am trying my best not to do that. Anyways, for listening skills. We all do it. We all have it. I still have it. Even though I'm talking about it, I'm still terrible at it. It's something we all kind of go to default on. I want to give an example. Like, you know, let's say somebody, you know, comes to us talking about a problem they're having with their life. And we start listening and we hear the problem and our brain immediately comes up with a solution. I mean, that's what our brain does, right? We want to come up with an answer. We want to come up with some way to solve their problem because our brains are problem-solving machines. They do. But that's not what the person wants most of the time. What they usually want is someone just to listen. Someone to, in a way, commiserate with them. You know, you don't have to feel sadness with them, but at least understand their sadness or their issues and just let them know it's going to be okay. And if they do ask for help, that's when you can give that, you know, I mean, not really give the advice, but give help. You know, like, hey, what can I do? You know, something around there. You still have to listen. You know, you can think you know what you need to say, but in the end, you're probably not gonna know for sure. And you have to just be very patient and try your best. Let them know that you're trying to know what they need and stuff. Let them know. And for those who are, you know, they want you to, you know, want people to listen. You have to speak up as well. You have to let your feelings known. Hey, I'm going through a rough time right now. Please, you know, help me out. Or listen to me, or, you know, anything like that. You know, I still struggle with that. I get frustrated. You know, a lot of times I'll try to talk to my parents and they'll listen for a bit, but as soon as they, you know, and we do this, we jockey the conversation. You know, we take over the conversation and you know, once we find something very familiar, we'll take over the conversation and start talking about ourselves in a way. And my parents often do that a lot. I know they don't mean it. You know, a lot of us don't mean it. Just want to do something that's familiar with us, and talking about ourselves most of the time is familiar with us. Even though most people think they can't talk about themselves, trust me, when somebody's complaining about something, you can easily relate to that and then start talking about yourself. I see it happen all the time. I do it all the time. And I'm trying to be more aware of it. I wanted to talk about this because it's been happening a lot recently. Just the other day, I was talking to my mother and I was telling her how I feel like sometimes people don't really get what I'm trying to, you know, say. You know, I'm trying to connect with people and they seem to miss that connection, and I'll tell them after, but I was just kind of complaining about that and I kind of wanted to express my feelings about that. But before I could even finish, my mother tried to talk about something else that related to that conversation, but it had to do with her own issues about something like that. And it was something she's complained about many times before. And, you know, cool, you know, she wanted, and I respected that. I wanted her to express herself, but I never got to finish my conversation, and so I just kind of like nodded and was just like, yeah, cool. Walked away. I could have said something, but I just didn't feel like it was worth it at the time. What can you do? You have certain feelings about certain people that you feel like you can't express your true self because you're afraid of how they're gonna react to that. And sometimes you have people who are the opposite. They react the way they want to every time and don't consider anybody's feelings at all, which is, I guess, a thing. I mean, you know, they always say you're right most of the day. Why wouldn't you think you're right with any other time? It is what it is, I guess, and we just gotta individually keep trying to be better people. We can't expect much out of others, and not castigating people when they do mess up on those kind of things. You know, informing them in some sort of more pleasant manner, without being pretentious, or just showing that you appreciate them for what they do and you're just trying to let them know that there's a better way of doing something, and if they disagree, they can let you know that. They just, you know, just let it be known. But that's enough of poor listening skills. Say we move on to another topic. This is a feeling I often have most of the day. I always feel like I want to leave my comfortable life, you know, go out there and experience something new. And I'll get so excited about it. And then once I like start making plans, I'll immediately start like saying, screw that, I want to return to comfortability. It's almost like I use my energy of breaking out of my shell to just think about breaking out of my shell, you know, just the idea of it. Wasted all the energy to actually committing to that. And I feel like that happens with a lot of things. Like when I create new ideas, just doing this faux thing was hard because I was just like, well, that was great, you know, doing that once. But, you know, I don't really want to do it again. It's almost like in Hearthstone, you know. Oh, by the way, the game I'm showing, I'm sure most of you know. Oh, for those of you who don't know, the game I'm showing is Hearthstone, the card game made by Blizzard. It's a very expensive game. If you are okay with just getting a bunch of free cards, then, you know, go ahead and feel free to play. It's a pretty fun game. Just requires a lot of money to really get a lot of good cards and stuff. Or a lot of time. Anyways, the comparison I wanted to make, the analogy with Hearthstone is that, well, it's not really with Hearthstone. If anything, it's just with like games in general. And it's something I've actually gotten better with. I hate going against other people. Like, it's okay if it's my friends, but I hate when it's like just random people. I don't know where it comes from, but like right now I'm going against random people and I'm starting to break out of that shell. But it's so tiring to, I don't know, it just somehow drains my energy, like just to think like, oh, this is another person. And I think it's both. In a way, I guess this is an egotistical thing, because in a way I'm afraid of like destroying them in the game, and just like thinking like, I guess it's not too much of an egotistical thing because I'm considering their feelings. Like I'm just thinking like, oh man, I don't want to be the other person like losing. I'm a sore loser, I really am, and that's another big thing. It's like I don't want to be the loser, and I don't want somebody else to be the loser either. I'm just so bad at that, and I want to work on that. That's something I really want to work on. I need to stop being afraid of failure and watching somebody else fail as well. You know, like I in movies, when somebody's in a very embarrassing moment, like, oh, like the secondhand embarrassment is strong with me. Like I can't watch a movie or show or anything on TV that shows somebody else getting embarrassed. I just like immediately have to turn it off because I just can't do it. And sometimes I try to push myself. It's like almost like riding on a roller coaster because I get excited. Like, oh, I can't believe I did that. My heart is pumping. Oh, this is stupid. Why is this trivial thing so hard to do? But yeah, that's something I do struggle with. I immediately want to return to comfortability, like just being by myself, playing against bots, or playing a solo game where it's only up to me to figure out, you know, everything. If I lose, nobody's watching. Ugh. And, you know, I'm glad I stream, because it helps me also get around that barrier, because damn, I get a lot of crap when I mess up on the games. People are watching me like, Michael, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? What are you doing here? Why are you messing up so much? I'm just like, look, I'm trying, okay? I really am. Anyways, that's just one thing. That's something I'm working on, along with the poor listening skills. You know, and to kind of connect to Hearthstone, I want to talk about hands, and specifically the hands we are dealt. You know, we're all dealt different lives. You know, we start in different places, we are raised by different people, and we're raised alongside different people, and sometimes by ourselves. And that plays a lot of factors. You know, it's a lot of factors, a lot of variables that rate who we are in the end. And we have to be understanding of that, and at the same time understanding of ourselves, and not use it as an excuse, but as a reason. You know, like, okay, it should be used as a tool. You know, not all of us have similar talents. You know, I never knew I was gonna be really good at music, but when I look back at it now, actually it makes sense, because when I was a kid, I followed along with rhythms like pretty easily. You know, I think everybody, I mean not everybody, but most people can, and they don't grow on it, but it's something that a lot of us don't realize. We need to search for our strengths. A lot of us focus too much on our weaknesses. And if we could do that, focus on our strengths, we could realize that, you know, some people, there's a lot of people in my life that they think that they're useless or something. And I have to tell them, like, no, you're not, dude. Like maybe they're really good at a specific video game. And like, okay, yo, that's not really that great, right? Like, it's just a video game. You know, some people turn it into a career, but for them, you know, it's like, hey, look at that video game. What is specifically hard about that game, and why are you so good at it? Take that and apply it to, you know, real life scenarios. You know, like maybe you can use that somehow. You know, maybe it's perception talent. Maybe it's a, what's the word? Reflex talent. It could be a lot of things with video games. I mean, if you look at something like the koala, you know, people love it for its cuteness. But honestly, if you think about it, it's not really the craziest animal, you know? It can get pretty feisty. I mean, it is a bear still. But most of the time, people see it as a lazy thing, right? But if you actually look down deep into it, it has one amazing talent. It can consume eucalyptus leaves, which are leaves that are very poisonous to us. But they can handle it. Their stomach can handle the poison, get rid of it. And it's just like any other animal that is really good at something. You know, maybe they're not as amazing as us with our crazy brains and stuff like that, but they still have something to make up for that. They have their own talent. I mean, I wish I had giant claws that I can tear through my opponent. I don't really have a opponent. Still be cool. Probably get tired of it after a while, but anyways, the point is, we need to start looking for our talents and not focusing on the negatives so much. And we have to, I want people to understand too that the negative focusing, it's not that you're a negative person, it's actually a default part of the brain where we were evolved to focus on negative things because we needed it. We needed it to survive. You know, when we heard a bump in the night, you know, in the middle of the woods, we needed to be on edge because otherwise, if we were just nonchalant about it, we're just cavalier about the whole staying out in the middle of the night, we're gonna just get easily eaten because we're not gonna take all the sounds so seriously. You know, eating berries, we had to be worried about that. Like, oh, I gotta make sure I get the right berry, the right color. You know, I have to be afraid of that because, you know, and think that every berry I pick is a possible bad berry because I don't want to get poisoned and die. You know, it's like a lot of things to prevent yourself from death. And so it just doesn't work as much in the real, you know, in our modern times now because it's not a lot of things we need to be negative about. You know? And that's the thing that's unfortunate is that life nowadays is heavily it's just very difficult for a lot of us because a lot of us still stick with our primal instincts. And we don't realize it. And it gets us in a lot of trouble. Some of us we do well, but some of us it just does not work out well. And we get left behind, and those who do figure it out and get past that primal instinct, they get far. And that's why I want to explain these couple of things. You know, as much as I'm talking about my own stream of consciousness, I want to explain things that I've learned that is amazing. Like, you know, if the whole world knew, if we all, like, if that was something we taught in school, like, hey, by the way, your brain goes to default mode, here's how to get out of that, like, rewire your brain. Like, if they taught that in school, they believed it. I feel like most institutions don't believe that we have these default modes. Anyways, yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is the case. Now on to the part of the faux experience where we talk about things that grind my gears. If you're wondering if this is a reference to Family Guy, yes it is. I don't care, because that's what I connect with. Anyways, thing that grinds my gears today, and as I've explained in the previous episode, things that grind my gears are pretty much trivial matters that still piss me off. But it's probably something I do too. Anyways, what grinds my gears today is people who daydream in the middle of like a turn of a car or their shopping cart. When they're just in the middle of doing something and they just start daydreaming out of nowhere. Or just looking off in some way. And again, you know, just like the last episode where I talked about me working at a Home Depot and witnessing this a lot, you know, when you're around in a public area and you see a lot more people, you tend to see this a lot. And so I see this a lot with people with their shopping carts. I'll be like turning the corner and this person's in the middle of turning Or not even, it's not even me turning the corner, it's me going straight ahead. And this person in the middle of turning will just be looking up into the sky like, I'm not gonna bother looking. And some people, when they're driving, they do the same thing. I'm actually one of them. So honestly, this is me being very hypocritical, but I don't care because it is frustrating and I need to stop doing it too. It's just like, you'll look like some people will look in one direction and think it's great to turn, but they didn't even look in the direction they're turning in, you know? It's funny, it's silly, and it's dangerous. We need to stop. As much as I'm laughing right now, we need to stop, y'all. We need to stop. We need to be paying attention. And I know nowadays life is busy, life is hard. We have a lot of things on our mind. Totally understandable. But we need to be more aware because people are gonna get run over, people are gonna get run into, and weird hijinks will ensue. Whether they'll be negative or positive. Either way, we gotta stop. Anyways, that's the episode of Grind My Gears today. Thanks for watching. On to the next thing. And this actually has to go with people in Home Depot stores, in stores in general. And I just need to put this clear. Y'all need to learn how to put your stuff back. God damn. I see it every day. People will pick things up from the store. They'll look at it and just put it on the floor. What are you, The Sims? Come on. I mean, you don't do this at home, do you? You don't cook a meal and then eat a little bit of it and then put it on the floor after? God, I just don't get it. I mean, maybe, no, I kind of get it. My theory is just what people eat, it causes their brain to lose a lot of glucose. So, you know, or not lose a lot of glucose, but not have a good amount of glucose. So they lose a lot of energy just walking around the store, and eventually they get decision fatigued. And so when they finally like decide, hey, I don't want this thing, they don't have the freaking energy to put it back. They just say, I'm just gonna put it on the floor. I don't really feel like putting it back. It's just easier. It's easier. That's really what it comes down to. It's just easier. And it's frustrating because I have to usually clean up the mess. And I'm just complaining as a retailer, somebody who works in retail. And I'm sure if any of you worked in retail, you understand how frustrating it is to just watch people nonchalantly just put things on the floor, put them in the wrong place. I mean, I've gotten into the habit when I go to other stores now, if I see something in the wrong place and I know where it goes, I'll immediately put it back. But people, when you pick up stuff, take note of where you got it from so you can put it back. You don't want it anymore. Like, yeah, you know, most people are thinking, oh, well, it's the other person's job to put it away. If we keep thinking like that, the world's just gonna be harder and harder. If we all just thought like, hey, let's try to make life easier for others while I'm also living my life because it's not much of a problem, then life would be easier for everybody. God damn it. Ugh. Frustrating. And it has to go to my other thing, which is bathrooms. Y'all don't know how to keep bathrooms clean. What the heck? Like, these janitors, I know a lot of the janitors that work at Home Depots, and I just feel so bad for them because of the way people treat the bathrooms. It's ridiculous. Ugh. But anyways, yeah. You know, the thing most people complain about, you know, why can't other people's be clean and clean up after themselves? And I get it. Not everybody gets taught that as a kid. You know, it's a matter of just differences in people being raised. They just don't get those things. I also think it's a food thing, honestly. I think a big thing is a food thing, but yes, it's also a matter of how people are raised. They just don't have those manners. They don't have the consideration for others to do that. Besides, this, just like this freaking warlock keeps roping me, damn it. That was so annoying, wasting my time. I didn't want 30-minute episode, but no, she had to sit there and keep roping me. Roping is when they pretty much let the entire rope burn before they end their turn, so that they pretty much waste as much time as possible because the longer the game is, the more XP. Whoever thought that was a mechanic, you know. Oh well. Actually, you know, I plan to do a Dead by Daylight episode, but it actually has to do with that too, you know? Like, it's hard, okay, like to make a game, and I understand that. But I wonder if they're taking notes when it comes to a lot of video games like Hearthstone and Dead by Daylight. There's issues that persist on for so many patches, and I feel like it'd be appreciative if they said, hey, you know, I don't know if it's an ego thing, you know, pride, like, hey, by the way, we tried to correct this, we couldn't, and we're gonna keep working on it. Instead, they just don't say anything, and it almost makes it seem like they're just not trying at all. They're not even worried about this problem, this issue. And I just wonder about that, you know. Is that something they have an issue with? Is this something that, is it a pride thing, or is it just literally an ignorant thing? Like, they just don't notice that, like, hey, this is an issue. We're having a problem with this. I don't know. But video game designers and programmers, like, I want to know your opinion. Like, do you guys hear out what everybody has to say? And how come you guys don't write it that you guys are... I mean, I know some people do. Like, hey, by the way, we noticed this problem. We're going to try to fix it. I know some... I don't want to say nobody does that, but I know some people do. But it almost seems like a lot of the times they don't notice it, or they don't say anything until they finally fix it. And I just feel like communication is very important. I know that's a lot of things that fans complain about, you know, gamers complain about, is communication. We need communication. And right now, Blizzard with Hearthstone is actually having that issue. They're not communicating with the fans. They're not letting them know, like, hey, we heard your complaint. Oh, they did. They put out a letter, and it just was very tonally deaf. They're just pretty much like, well, sorry, nothing we can do, or like you don't know what you want, which most of the time is true. I'll give them that for the benefit of the doubt. But we'll see what they do. If they continue to make mistakes, I mean, that sucks, because Hearthstone is a fun game. But it is what it is. That's Hearthstone for you, you know. Get what you get. You get a good hand, you get a good pack, you get a good card. You open packs, you get a legendary that you wanted, and you get a legendary you didn't want. You never know. It is what it is. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Foe as much as I enjoyed recording it. I don't have much to talk about anymore, and I'll leave it on to the next episode. Foe 3. The Foeing. Anyways, guys, if you like this, like it, and then like it again. Like it a third time. And if you didn't like it, dislike it. That is fine. I've gotten dislikes before. Just like I was talking about earlier, I need to get over failure. That means I failed you somehow. But anyways, a comment, you know, let me know if you want to see a certain game played on here while I'm talking. I don't mind, because it can play anything and talk about stuff. I mean, heck, you could pick a game like, hey, pick this game and try to connect life to it somehow. I don't mind doing that. That is actually fun. But anyways, y'all take care. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.